One of the most frequently asked questions in the fitness world are about the ideal rep range. Should you do 5 reps or 10 reps or even 15 reps? But the answer to this question really depends upon your goals. If you're someone who's trying to build more muscle and look more aesthetic, there's a different rep range for that. If you're trying to lose fat and get more cut, there's a different rep range for that. And if you're someone who's trying to gain more strength, guess what? There's a different rep range for that as well. So in this video, we're going to break down all the different rep ranges and find out which one's the best for you. Stay tuned. Alright, so first let's start with the higher rep range. And when I say higher rep range, I mean anything that is more than 15 reps. Now training in this category has 3 huge benefits, starting off with number 1, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Now most of you who've been working out for a while might be familiar with the term hypertrophy, which means muscle growth. But what you don't know is that there are actually 2 types of hypertrophy. There's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is more about size gains, and then there is myofibrillous hypertrophy, which is more about strength gain. Now the reason why you would want to achieve sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is because this is the one that actually causes the most muscle growth. And the only way you're going to do that is by training in the higher rep range. Our second benefit of training in the higher rep range is that you get a much better pump. Because A, training in the higher rep range is a great way to stretch out the fascia, which gives more room for the muscle to grow. And B, training in the higher rep range promotes a much better blood flow, which causes more nutrients to enter the muscles. And the more nutrients the muscle has, the longer and harder it lasts, which helps in even more muscle growth. Our third benefit of training in the higher rep range is that you can completely isolate the muscle that you're working on. Because when you're training in the higher rep range, naturally you're using light weights. And light weights are much easier to control. For example, if I'm doing a bicep curl with a heavy weight for lower reps, I might use a little bit of momentum and the anterior delt to complete the movement. On the other hand, if I'm using lighter weights for high reps, it's really easy for me to completely isolate the bicep and really work on the muscle that I'm trying to work on. And this causes more muscle growth in the muscle that I'm actually trying to work. Now let's talk about the lower rep range. And when I say low, I mean anything between 1 and 6 reps. Now training in the lower rep range has its own benefits, starting off with number 1, fast twitch muscle fiber activation. Now for those of you who don't know, there are actually 2 types of muscle fibers. There's the type 1 slow twitch muscle fibers, which are used more in our endurance work, like jogging, walking, or even swimming. Then there are the type 2A and B muscle fibers, or the fast twitch muscle fibers, which are used mostly in high intensity work like sprinting and lifting heavy weights. Now the reason why you want to target the fast twitch muscle fibers is because they are much bigger and larger than the slow twitch muscle fibers. And the only way to activate most of them is by training heavy in the lower rep range. Benefit number 2 is better protein synthesis. Now, as we know, protein synthesis is the process in which our body produces more protein in order to repair the muscle that you damaged while you were working out. But what you don't know is that there is this thing called mTOR, which acts as a catalyst in protein synthesis. So the more mTOR you have, the better your protein synthesis. And the only way to maximize that mTOR is by lifting heavier weights in the lower rep range. Our third benefit of training in the lower rep range is more strength gains. Now, as we talked about earlier, there were 2 types of hypertrophy, sarcoplasmic and myofibrillous. When you train in the lower rep range, you're actually achieving myofibrillous hypertrophy, meaning that you'll get a lot stronger and will be able to lift bigger numbers on the bench press or the squat or the deadlift. Now we talked about the higher rep range and we also talked about the lower rep range. But what about the medium rep range? Take a look at this graph. In this graph, you'll see that the more reps you do, the more closer you get to sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. And the fewer reps you do, the more closer you get to myofibrillous hypertrophy. Now the medium rep range lies in between, meaning that you'll get a little bit of both strength gains and size gains, giving you the best of both worlds. Okay, so now that we've discussed all the different benefits of different rep ranges, it's time to see which one is the best for you. Now, if you're someone who's trying to build more muscle and look more aesthetic, you want bigger arms, bigger chest, bigger shoulders, then you should be going after sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, meaning that most of your workouts are going to be structured around medium to higher rep training. Now, if you're someone who's trying to lose fat and get more cut, you want a six-pack, then the preferred rep range for you is going to be medium to low. Because a lot of studies show that people who tend to lift heavier weights in the lower rep range burn a lot more calories throughout the day as compared to those who lift light weights in the higher rep range. Since your goal is fat loss, your main goal is burning a lot of calories, and medium to low rep training is perfect for that. Now, on the other hand, if you're trying to gain more strength, then obviously you should be training towards myofibrillous hypertrophy, and the only way you're going to do that is by lifting heavy weights in the lower rep range. Just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, I've actually created a few sample workouts, the link's in the description. Alright guys, there you have it. Now you know which rep range is the best for you. Just a final tip, don't just stick to one rep range. If you're used to training in the higher rep range, switch to lower rep training every once in a while. And if you're someone who always trains in the lower rep range, switch to higher rep training every once in a while. Because at the end of the day, what really matters is that you're shocking the muscles. Shocking the muscles can help in muscle gain, it can help in fat loss, as well as strength gains. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment sections. I'll be happy to respond. This is Mohammed Wes, fitnesssapiens.com.